Hello everyone, welcome to back my channel. I hope everyone is having wonderful day. Before starting the video, please go ahead and hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Here's a longer story, 1,200 words, inspired by the idea of a jelly roll model's super slim body in Louis Vuitton. If you prefer a different tone or focus, romance, fashion insider, glamour, personal struggle, just let me know and I can adjust. She was alone in the back room of the studio, sunlight drifting through tall windows and landing on nothing at first but the fine dust motes in the air. But then the light caught something else, not the shimmer of metal, not a mirror, but the folds of pristine leather, her Louis Vuitton purse resting by the window ledge, brown monogram canvas catching the glow, edges of the gold hardware glowing like small promises. Her name was Camille Reyes. She was one of Jelly Roll model's secrets, super slim, almost wafer thin, with limbs that stretched endlessly, a spine so delicate yet so proud that every photographer's lens lingered. For years, she'd been told she looked like a drawing that had stepped out of paper. Lines elegant, shape ethereal, but always real. Today, she was here for test shots. Outside, the city was waking up. Inside, the painters, assistants, stylists were moving like a ballet, lights, reflectors, wardrobe racks spinning. The lid stylist handed Camille a fresh Louis Vuitton trench coat, vertical ribbed leather panels at the shoulders, cinched waist, long sweeping skirt that brushed her calves. She slipped into it, and almost immediately it felt like she was wearing more than a coat. She was wearing possibility. Across the room, the photographer, Marco, studied her. He had a reputation, sharp, exacting, never satisfied with less than something unforgettable. He had flown in for this shoot, for the brand's autumn-winter line, and the campaign was to signal a new direction. Sharp silhouettes, statement leather, glamorous power, yet something refined and sleek. Jelly Roll models had been chosen to front it, because they embodied a different ideal now, a body that didn't shout, but whispered elegance. Camille stood on a platform. The coat hung from her like she was a sculpture. Marco clicked, 1, 2, 3, and then paused. He stepped forward, adjusting the coat's lapel. "Tilt your chin up, Cam," he murmured. She obeyed. The light caught her cheekbone. The contrast of her pale skin and the trench's deep brown was arresting. Later they introduced a piece she dreaded. A Louis Vuitton envelope clutch, slender, precise, with the monogram print so perfect it seemed stitched into myth. She held it on her hip, her fingers long and delicate. In that moment she was transformed, not just a pose, but a pin-up ad for refinement, for classic glamour. Between shots, Camille slipped off the coat, standing in a black bodysuit. Her collarbones stretched out, her thighs long. She knew what people thought when they saw her, that she was too thin, that she pushed an ideal too far. She'd heard it all. But here, in the controlled glare of studio lights, she felt powerful instead of exposed. The thin lines of her body were lines of strength, like willow branches that bend but do not break. The wardrobe changed, wide-legged trousers with monogram trim, a fur stole draped across her arms, a structured bucket bag, boots with embossed logos rising up her shins. Each piece rewritten onto her body as though she were the brand's newest canvas. Backstage, she caught her reflection in a tall mirror. She looked luminous. The trench coat hung open, the edge flaring, showing the curve from waist to thigh, the hollow of hip, the delicate bone structure of her arms. Someone might say she was waif-like, fragile, but Camille didn't feel frail. She felt sharp, focused, like a blade of light through the room. Marco called out, "Now with the silk scarf, Camille. Tie it around the neck. Let it drift to the side." She did. The silk was beige, flecked with gold insignia, soft against her skin. Marco dimmed one light, brightened another, introduced shadow, so that only parts of her were illuminated. The scarf ribbon floating, her jawline, collar. Then click. A photograph that would hang in boutiques, delicate yet potent. During lunch, she sat with the other models, biting into a green apple, juice trickling down her fingers. They talked about travel, castings, social media. Someone mentioned the internet trolls. "They don't know how hard it is," Camille said quietly. The others nodded, but they also knew. Despite everything, Camille had pulled this off, pulled from critics' only admiration. In the afternoon came the finale shot. A long, narrow catwalk installation in the studio. High platform, white runway, a single spotlight. Camille emerged wearing for the first time a full leather sheath dress, embossed panels so finely woven that the seams disappeared. The dress hugged her super slim frame, pleats into the waist, then a collar falling straight to her ankles. On her feet, glossy pumps, gold buckles, hands at her sides, her gait measured, graceful. When she reached the end of the runway, she paused. The spotlight caught her face, her eyes steady. Marco instructed the lights. One beam from below, a softer one from above. Shadow framed her cheekbones. The trench coat came back. She draped it over her shoulders as though she were a queen donning a cape. It billowed behind her, monogram swirl, leather shutter. Marco's shutter fired in bursts. Click, click, click. Each image caught a different pose. A turn, a tilt of head, a glance over the shoulder. The trench fell open slightly, revealing the sheath beneath. Movement, grace, stillness. After it was over, Camille stepped down. The crew clapped, not because they were being polite. They truly acknowledged. The shots were exquisite. They had captured something rare, the super slim body, yes, but also strength, pride, elegance. A body that was not just slender but sculpted. An ideal that felt aspirational without airbrushing out the human who inhabited it. Marco came up beside her, offering a bottle of water and a smile. "You nailed it," he said. "These are the images we'll show around the world." Camille drank, cold water burning the dryness of performance. She looked at the floor a moment, then up. Glancing at the trench coat, the sheath, the purse. All the monograms, all the stitching. She let herself feel content. Later that evening, the first preview images emerged, on fashion blogs, on Instagram stories, on the screens in cafes. One image, Camille half-turned, coat off one shoulder, clutch in hand. Another, coat closed, standing tall, silk scarf fluttering. Another, close-up of her jawline, a hint of teeth. Comments poured in, mesmerizing. So elegant. Could be a classic. But also too thin. Not healthy. Wish she looked stronger. Camille stared at her phone. She felt the weight of praise and the sting of critique. But what she felt most was this. She had just walked into fire and come out not charred, but luminous. That night, she sat in her apartment, looking at the images again. The leather looked rich. The gold hardware gleamed. She touched the monogram of the purse on her shelf. She reflected on how many hours went into posing, into diet, into discipline. It had cost her. She thought of the days she couldn't eat, of the days she forced herself to run till her legs ached. But then she also thought of the mornings she woke up proud, of the pleasing of lines, of the photography room when she became more than a person. She became an ideal, a dream people paid to see. And she decided she could live with that cost, if she could still feel alive in it. Over the weeks, those images went up in boutiques, in billboards. People wearing Louis Vuitton passed them in bus stops, admired them. Camille started getting letters. Young girls who said they were inspired. Older women who said she gave them hope to believe elegance is timeless. One afternoon, 2 months later, Camille got a package from creative director, a custom jacket made to measure. He had seen something in her, a kind of vulnerability and power intertwined, and wanted a piece made just for her. It was leather, sleek, trimmed in gold. He asked her to wear it at the next gala, with the campaign success still warming behind them. She said yes. On the night of the gala, she entered a grand hall. Chandeliers glinted. The room smelled of perfume, velvet gowns, champagne. She wore the custom jacket, monogram panels, lined with silk, shoulders squared. Underneath, the sheath dress again. She walked into the lights as if entering myth. People saw her and paused. Cameras flashed. She was a silhouette of elegance, the super slim body she carried no longer alone, but draped in acknowledgement. Backstage after the event, she changed out of her clothes and looked in a small mirror. The weight of the night, of expectations, traffic of glances, whispers, settled. But she caught her own eyes, steady, she thought. I am more than lines in fashion. She thought, I survived this. She thought, elegance is in how I stand, how I own being this thin, owning being me. That is power. And the Louis Vuitton monograms, the leather, the lights, they were not just adornments. They were marks of her journey, of the discipline, the insecurity, the art. She gathered her trench, her jacket, her purse, and stepped out into the cool night, letting the wind press against her silhouette. In that moment, she felt invisible and luminous both, like a star beyond reach, but shining anyway.